The girl suddenly stuffed a popsicle into the horse's mouth. When she pulled it out, nothing was left but the stick. So she quickly tore open another one, took a bite herself, then held it out again. As expected, it was devoured in one bite once more. The girl looked at the two bare sticks and smiled, then pressed them into the ground, as a symbol of the pure friendship between her and the horse. As more and more sticks gathered in the ground, the wheels of fate began to turn. In the days that followed, the girl stayed by the side of this injured horse. But at that moment, she could never have imagined that her love and her dreams would carry the horse and her family to heights beyond anything she could foresee. The little girl's name was Kale. She was born on an abandoned horse farm, and under her grandfather's influence, she had developed an extraordinary love for horses. So every time her father went to the stables to work, Kale would stand in front of the car to block his way. Left with no choice, Jack had to take her along. The mare her father was training was named Sonia. The moment Kale laid eyes on her, she fell in love. And that day happened to be a race day. As was customary, Jack inspected the horse's legs before the race began. But that day he noticed that Sonia's right front leg felt warm, and she kept kicking erratically. He advised the owner to swap in a different horse. But to show off in front of a Middle Eastern prince, the owner insisted that Sonia race. Though Jack argued persistently, the owner, who had eyes only for profit, paid no mind. When the starting bell rang, the horses surged forward all at once. Sonia lived up to expectations, quickly climbing from fourth place all the way to first. But the very next second, disaster struck. Kale scrambled under the fence and ran toward the horse in distress. What everyone had feared had come to pass. Sonia's right front leg was broken. A horse with a broken leg is as good as a dead horse. Yet the owner's reaction was even more chilling. Despite all the races Sonia had won for him, the owner showed no remorse and ordered the veterinarian to carry out euthanasia.
You don't care about anybody, do you? Horses or people?
Just like that, Jack and the other two trainers were fired on the spot. He immediately demanded the $9,000 in unpaid wages, but the heartless owner was only willing to pay $6,000. Looking at the horse writhing and crying out in pain on the ground, Jack, unable to bear it, made a decision that would change Sonia's fate.
I'll take the $6,000 and the horse.
The owner readily agreed. After all, disposing of a carcass alone would cost more than $3,000. Kale stood nearby, watching it all with worry. Then Jack turned his back on the owner's mockery and hauled Sonia home through the night. And so this horse farm, abandoned for more than a decade, finally welcomed a real racehorse. It turned out that Jack's decision to save Sonia was not a momentary impulse or a surge of kindness. It was a life-changing gamble. Because Sonia was a descendant of the legendary racehorse Dream Chaser, who had won 7 consecutive races and earned over $3 million in prize money. If Sonia could be healed and bred to produce offspring, a fine foal could fetch as much as $300,000. This prospect instantly filled everyone with motivation. Together, they rigged Sonia up in a sling to let her recover. Late that night, unable to stop worrying, Kale quietly climbed out of the window, jumped from the second floor onto a haystack, grabbed 2 of her favorite popsicles from the refrigerator, and ran to the stable. They gazed at each other through the gap in the stall, and that is when the scene from the beginning unfolded. Jack, sleeping inside the stable, clearly knew what was happening, but he made no move to stop this moment of friendship. After a month of careful nursing, Sonia was finally able to stand. Jack quickly called for the vet to take a look, and the news was good. Sonia had recovered well, and it was now time to consider finding her a stallion. The news brought joy to everyone. Jack immediately went to see a friend, hoping to find a purebred stud. The friend brought the father and daughter over to show them the top stallion he had prepared. Kale's face showed pure disbelief. She felt this little horse simply wouldn't do. But Jack knew it was his friend's joke. The one about to appear was the true finest horse. He was tall and powerful, swift in his movements, his sturdy muscles concealed beneath a chestnut coat, truly without flaw. However, what the friend said next hit Jack like a cold splash of water. The stud fee was $15,000, and that was already half the original price. Jack simply didn't have that kind of money, so he proposed using the future foal as payment instead. His friend was in a difficult position. After all, he was just an employee working for his boss. In the end, the father and daughter could only leave disappointed. Jack was now at the end of his rope. On top of that, his former boss was working against him, and Jack could not find work anywhere. With no way out, he was forced to sell the last piece of land the family owned, just to cover their expenses. But misfortune had not finished with him. Just as they were excitedly preparing for the breeding, the vet brought bad news. It turned out that the previous owner, in order to make Sonia run faster, had already had her sterilized. This sudden blow shattered everyone's hopes completely. Only Kale held Sonia close and kept trying to comfort her. Fearing that Sonia would be abandoned again, Kale stuffed her backpack full of Sonia's favorite treats, slipped out through the window, and was just swinging onto Sonia's back, ready to run away together, when her father suddenly pushed open the door. The startled horse immediately bolted outside. The terrified Jack jumped in the car and gave chase. Never mind that Sonia had barely recovered. She ran faster and faster. Before long, her speed had already reached over 40 miles per hour. Jack reached out to grab Kale, but the difficulty was too great, and he simply couldn't manage it. He had no choice but to gun the engine, get ahead of the horse, then raise both hands to signal Kale to jump from the saddle. Somehow, he caught her safely. Jack held his daughter tightly, terrified of her being hurt even slightly. Sonia continued galloping along the fence. When they got back home, the hand who had caught the horse told Jack that Sonia had just hit a speed of over 45 miles per hour and had been getting faster and faster. That was already on par with many top racehorses. Astonished, Jack quickly called the vet to examine her. The vet found that Sonia's leg had not only healed perfectly, but with training she might be able to return to the track. They moved to the track for a test run, but Sonia's performance this time left something to be desired. Her fastest lap was only 37.2 seconds. Jack couldn't help but remark on it. Soon grandfather joined in, timing the laps as well, and just like that, 3 generations of the family were reunited in one place. To help Sonia find her form again, grandfather suggested entering her in a race to give her a spark. Jack had been thinking the same thing, so 2 weeks later, Sonia entered a small race. At first, everyone was anxious about her leg, while Kale cheered for her with excitement. After steadily chasing down the field, Sonia finished in 3rd place and won $1,100 in prize money. Kale happily high-fived her mother, but the father and 2 hands wore expressions of disappointment. The result simply wasn't good enough. Just then, a staff member asked Jack to sign a sales form. It turned out that before the race, he had listed Sonia for sale at the stable. $15,000 and she was yours. Someone had actually agreed to buy her. A horse with a broken leg. It shattered Kale completely. Kale crouched in front of the empty stall and cried. She never imagined that Jack would become exactly the kind of person he had once despised most. Kale accused her father of being a liar. Jack had nothing to say. In that moment, he realized he had turned into his own father. That day, Kale's school was holding a parent-teacher conference, and she asked Jack, who was home, to attend. The teacher invited the parents up to the front to read aloud the essays their children had written. It was soon Jack's turn. His daughter had written, "Once upon a time, there was a noble king who had rich lands and countless horses. A dark night came and took everything from him. But this king was a warrior. He found the legendary divine horse, and the horse carried him through countless obstacles and hardships until he finally defeated the Dark Knight and reclaimed his land." As he read, Jack suddenly choked up and could no longer speak. Because he was the king in his daughter's story. The land represented his family. The Dark Knight was the distance that had grown between them, and the divine horse was Sonia. When he got home, he sincerely apologized to his daughter, and Kale finally forgave her father. What had been missing between parent and child was simply communication. The next morning, grandfather said someone had sent Kale a goat. Curious, she went outside to look. When she opened the trailer, inside was Sonia. It turned out that her father, with grandfather's help, had used their savings of $20,000 to buy her back. And not only that, Jack had also transferred 51% of Sonia's ownership to his daughter. The 2 hands received a share as well. Kale was now Sonia's new owner. From that day on, Kale woke up at 4 every morning and came to the farm to train Sonia. Some mornings she was so tired, she had to drink a bitter cup of coffee to keep going. But without the proper expertise, Sonia's times remained unsatisfying. So Kale turned to her father for help.
I want you to help me. I want you to help me train her.
I see. Well, you'd be getting a trainer. What is it I'd be getting?
10%.
20.
15.
Done.
Sign here.
And with Jack's guidance, Sonia improved rapidly. At the same time, the distance between father and daughter disappeared. At dinner, the whole family could sit together warmly, and amid the long-missed sounds of home, laughter filled the room. Then Kale suddenly stood up and announced something. She was going to enter Sonia in this year's Pegasus World Cup. The whole family fell silent. That was a top-tier international event, with prize money as high as $14 million, and the competition would be made up of elite horses selected from thousands. Jack felt it was a beautiful dream, but his wife told him to go for it. On the day of entry registration, everyone gathered at the venue. There were 14 race spots, and the final one would be decided by a selection panel. Never mind needing a horse good enough. The entry fee alone was staggering.
Your horse got a shot. But to enter this horse in this race is going to be a fee of $40,000. Did you bring a check?
I mailed it. Today.
Well, let's just say that the panel determines that Sonia Dore belongs in this race. Now, there's another $80,000 in fees that's going to be due on October the 26th. You prepared for that?
So mail it to you.
Yes, sir, I am.
Final selection will be at 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Jack's former boss looked on, his eyes full of contempt. That evening, picking his wife up from work, everything that had happened lately had made him somehow more tender. When he told his wife the entry fee was $120,000, she just smiled, warm and content.
Why are you smiling?
Feel like I'm on a date.
On the day the shortlist was announced, Cale and Jack sat tensely in the audience, listening as the names were called one by one, but Sonia's name was nowhere to be heard until the last two spots were announced.
And our last two runners-up. Point twice. And Sonia Dore.
Among those selected was also Jack's former boss's racehorse, a stud personally invested in by the Middle Eastern prince and the strongest competitor in the field. That evening, Jack's old boss came to find him. He knew what Sonia was capable of, so he put $20,000 on the table, hoping to buy Sonia and eliminate the obstacles standing in the way of the prince's horse. Jack refused. The boss put forward another $20,000. Jack still refused.
Not my horse, Everett. Well, what do you say, honey?
I'm not selling her.
Finally, the boss produced a check for $100,000 and promised that if they sold him the horse, he would give them all their jobs back. Such a generous offer moved everyone in the room. Cale took the check and looked at her father.
Dad,
I'd tell him to take his money and his empty trailer and get the hell off our farm.
Cale understood. She walked calmly up to the boss and smiled.
I think Elias Boy remembers what Sonia's butt looks like.
Why?
It's all it's going to be seeing of her on race day.
Perhaps. Only a child has the courage to say no to money so cleanly. They kept their dignity, but faced an even greater challenge. The $120,000 entry fee. No one would invest in a horse that had once broken its leg. Just as they were ready to give up, Jack found an opportunity. They went to the estate of the Middle Eastern prince's younger brother. The prince asked Cale only one question.
Cale, you look me in the eye and you tell me you think your horse has a chance of beating my brother's horse.
My horse will beat every horse that shows up.
Her answer was enough to secure the sponsorship. But that night, Jack began to waver again. He had never won a single race in his life. He wanted to back out.
What am I doing here, Pop?
You're taking your kid and your horse to the Breeders' Cup tomorrow. Because that's the dream of every real horseman. It's the dream of every father.
Then he listened to what his father had to say. Before leaving, he set aside his old grievances and took the initiative to invite his father to come. On race day, the whole family arrived at the venue early. Sonia stood in the sunlight, full of spirit and energy. Suddenly, the boss walked in with Glassman Boy. The other horse reared up on his front legs, as if to provoke. Sonia did not back down. She reared right back. The tension in the room rose immediately. Jack examined Sonia's legs and was alarmed to find her right front leg feeling warm again. He turned and went to the stable rest area, asking the assistant to bring Sonia inside. The assistant came back and said Sonia simply refused to come in. Jack tried to pull her inside, but the horse stood her ground stubbornly and would not move.
Easy now. What do you want?
What's she telling you?
I don't know. Something about the ground shaking, sky parting. She must have run.
Let's go.
Jack took out his last $257 and bet it all on Sonia. Listening to the laughter around him, even at odds of 1 to 80, Jack was still willing to take that chance. All competitors lined up. The starting bell rang. 14 top racehorses charged out together. At first, Sonia fell to the back of the pack. No one panicked. They kept to their own rhythm. It was only approaching the bend that Sonia finally unleashed her speed. Just as she drew level with Glassman Boy, the unexpected happened. Manny steadied himself until his balance was restored. Their speed did not drop. Even after falling to the back once more, they pressed on without giving up. Coming into the final bend,
Sonia Dore could be the danger to the favorite Goliath Boy. Boy on the inside, 6 deep and final ball.
Sonia won. The stands erupted. Kale waved toward the prince's younger brother. That Sonia, the one who had once broken her leg, had not let anyone down. She had fulfilled the dreams and hopes of everyone who believed in her.